Good morning, dear students. In the last session, we discussed about law of diminishing marginal utility, and in this session also, let us continue the topic. Yes, in the last session, we discussed about the statement of the law of diminishing marginal utility, and then assumptions of law of diminishing marginal utility, explanation of the law with the help of numerical example and diagram. And today's topic is about exceptions or limitations of the law of diminishing marginal utility. Before going to discuss these all things, once again we will repeat all those things which we covered in the last session. Yes, what is law of diminishing marginal utility? What is the statement of the law of diminishing marginal utility? What are the assumptions? And how the law of diminishing marginal utility is explained with the help of numerical example and diagram. Yes, the law of diminishing marginal utility developed by Professor Gaussen, later on popularized by new classical economist Alfred Marshall. The statement of the law of diminishing marginal utility is, as we consume more and more of the same commodity, the additional utility or the marginal utility of that commodity which we get from that particular commodity goes on declining. Once again I will repeat, the additional utility which we get from the consumption of the particular commodity which we considered in the example, that goes on declining. Yes, this is the statement of the law. And we all know that economic laws are not exact laws. So depends upon assumptions, and here few assumptions are given, and in the last class we discussed about the assumptions. They are the units of the consumption must and should be standard, that means neither too big nor too small. So take for example apple or a cup of tea or a glass of cool drinks. Suppose what happens if we drink cold drinks or a cup of tea by spoon, definitely the marginal utility of that commodity goes on increasing, and all the units of the commodity which we consumed must and should be identical, remains the same. The size of the unit, the color of the unit, the taste of the unit remains the same. Take for example 7 to 8 units we are going to consume. The units must and should remains the same in all respect, and then the units of the commodity should be used continuously. No time gap or interval between the consumption of first unit, second unit, third and fourth unit. Suppose what happens if we give break that is first to second, second to third, third to fourth, automatically the marginal utility definitely increases. And one more interesting assumption is given here: the consumer must be a rational or an ordinary person. So these are the interesting assumptions, and with the help of these assumptions we discussed about the law of diminishing marginal utility. Numerical example is also explained in the last session, and that is also explained with the help of diagrammatic representation. So before going to discuss, that is the limitations or exceptions to the law of diminishing marginal utility, let us try to calculate total utility. In the last class, just we calculate marginal utility. Once again I will repeat, this example or the calculation of PU and marginal utility, total utility and marginal utility is very important from the examination point of view. So as we all know that how to calculate total utility? Total utility is equal to summation of M. Yes. Then how to calculate marginal utility? Marginal utility is equal to change in total utility divided by change in Q. So in the last class we calculated marginal utility, and here we will try to calculate total utility. Suppose in your example units are given and marginal utility is given, then the question arises how to calculate total utility. See here how to calculate total utility. Total utility is equal to summation of M. So that is U plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, like this. Utility of first unit, second unit, third unit, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, like this way. So then how to calculate it? So see here, so the total utility that remains the same, 20. Okay, 20 plus 15, that is 35. So 20, 15, 35, that means 35 plus 10, 45. Then 45 plus 5, 50, 50 plus 0. Then 50 plus minus 5, 45, 45 minus 10, that is 35. So in this way we calculate the total utility. Once again I will repeat. So how to calculate total utility? That is summation of MU. So marginal utility is 20 and the total utility also remains the same. So the second unit, the utility which we derived, which we get from the second unit is 50. 20 plus 15 is equal to 35. And from third we get 10 units of utility. So 35 plus 10, 45. So for 4, only 5 will get. Then 45 plus 5, 50. 50 plus 0, 50. Then 50 plus minus 5, 45. Or 45 minus 10, that is 35. In this way, we calculate total utility. Suppose what happens, the TU is given and MU is not given. So it is also very easy that marginal utility is equal to change in total utility divided by change in Q. See here, the marginal utility also remains the same for first unit. So if total utility is 20, marginal utility also remains 20. So what is the change here? 20. The difference is what? Yes, once again I will repeat. So the change in total utility, that is divided by change in quantity. So what is the change here? 20 minus 15. 5 divided by 1. So like this way a total utility, marginal utility is calculated. So this is the very interesting point. So with this we will try to understand the example related to the law of diminishing marginal utility. Now come to the very interesting point. What are the exceptions or limitations to the law of diminishing marginal utility? So the first one, rare collections. The law is not applicable to rare collections. Take for example the collection of stamps, the collection of rare paintings, etc. As we go on collecting more and more that coins or stamps or rare paintings, definitely the marginal utility increasing instead of decreasing. So this law is not applicable to rare collections. And the second one, money. The law is not applicable to money. Never and ever the concept, that is diminishing concept, is related to money. And in case of third, that is knowledge, art, innovations. And here the law is not applicable. As we gain more and more knowledge, definitely the utility increases. Or in case of art also, as we enjoy art, the utility goes on increasing instead of decreasing. And innovation, that is new things, introduction of new things. As we innovating new things, introducing new things, utility definitely increases instead of decreasing. And then this law is not applicable to precious goods like diamond, then gold, etc. And the law is not applicable in case of irrational behavior. Take for example in case of a drunkard. As he drinks, that is more and more, he enjoys more and more. The law is not applicable here. And one more interesting thing, the law is also not applicable to beauty, because man is fond of beauty and gets more satisfaction by enjoying it, nature, beautiful picnic spots, etc. And then the law is not applicable to fashion, because we all know that utility goes up when there is a trend or fashion in the market about a particular commodity or about a particular that is a dress or style. So even though we are using more and more of that one, instead of decreasing, the utility goes on increasing. But what happens if it is out of fashion? Then definitely the utility decreases. If it goes out, then utility goes down. So in these all cases, the law of diminishing marginal utility is not applicable. Okay, then the question arises, the law of diminishing marginal utility, is it useful? Is there importance? Definitely, the law of diminishing marginal utility is useful to use the available resources of the country, as we all know that resources are limited and human wants are unlimited, and the law is very useful to frame a taxation policy. So, now what type of taxes the government is going to introduce on different sections of the people living in the country, and the law is also very useful to the consumer, and the law is very useful to the theory of value, etc. So, this is about the law of diminishing marginal utility. Yes, dear friends. So the question arises, if this subject is asked for, that is long question, then how to write? Very interesting. We have to write in a systematic way, then there is a chance to score out. If take for example, explain the law of diminishing marginal utility with the help of numerical example and diagram. This is the question. Then how to start the answer? Very simple. So first we have to write, that is introduction. This is the first part. We have to write, that is introduction, only in 2 lines. The law is developed by Gosselin and popularized by Alfred Marshall. So this law is related to the theory of consumer behavior. So this is the first point. Second point, that is the statement of the law. What is the statement of the law? We know that according to the law of diminishing marginal utility, the marginal utility goes on declining as we consume more and more of the same commodity. Then third point, so that is assumptions we have to write. So how many assumptions are there? If 7 to 8 assumptions are given, so if it is asked for 6 marks, so then we have to write only 4 to 5 very important assumptions. So first we have to write assumptions and subheadings like this, 3, 4, 5. So 5 assumptions are enough. Very important assumptions we have to write there. So after assumptions, what to write? So that is numerical example we have to write. Numerical example, and this, that is precise table format we have to present there. Numerical example. And then fifth, so diagram we have to write. So we have to draw diagram neatly. So we have to show that is OX and OY. What is there on OX and what is there on we have to mention, and we have to write the scale on right side of the diagram. This is very interesting thing. So after diagram, then we have to explain the law in sentence, few more sentences with the help of few more sentences with the help of numerical example and diagram. So explanation is given below. Like this we have to write and explain in 3 to 4 sentences. That is enough. After that, what we have to write? That is limitations. Limitations we have to write. And after that, okay, uses in 2 sentences. Enough. This law is very useful too. This law is very useful too. Like this we have to write. And 8th one, that is conclusion. So this is the format to write law. Any law. The law of diminishing marginal utility, the law of variable proportion is there. So simply we have to write. That is, in given precise format we have to present our answer. Presentation is very important than writing. Yes. So presentation, it is a skill. So we have to write in a precise format. That to present your answer very neatly. So students, so this is about the law of diminishing marginal utility. Go through these all things and prepare this topic for examination, and this is a very important topic from the examination point of view. So for 1 marks for 4 marks or for 2 marks or for long question. So this topic is very important. Take care, stay happy. See you in the next session.